Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, maybe for folks on that side of the world. Thank you so much for joining what is today episode number 17 of the Unboxing AI webinar series. We do this every Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Somehow people make time to see it. And for those who don't, we upload these videos onto YouTube in a couple of days. So today, we have Dr. Kent Hutson. Kent is, besides being a dear friend and guide in the as we navigate at CARPL this whole journey of deploying AI across the world, is the artificial intelligence technical lead consultant for RAD Partners. And RAD Partners, I'm sure, as most of you would know, is the world's largest radiology practice. I think like 3,000 radiologists, 50 million scans, just immense in terms of the scale at which they operate. Then, in addition to his formal training in computer science and medical informatics, he is also a certified physician executive and combines years of experience as a radiology department chair. In fact, Kent has also run academic radiology departments in the past, prior to moving to the mountains. And served as a radiology department particularly passionate about is the IHE standard. And specifically, he is part of the IHE Radiology Planning Committee. He's the chair there and a member of the RSNA Radiology Informatics Committee. So thank you so much, Kent, for joining today. I'm sure folks would have lots of questions, and everybody on the call today. As always, we will prioritize your questions over, our random discussions. And so feel free to use the chat box, the Q&A. You can WhatsApp me, email, whatever you'd like, and more than happy to take any and all questions. So as we kick off, Kent, and we briefly talked about this. While my original plan was to go into your background and all of that, but I think, we'll put that on hold because I would like to hear about what you refer to as a wow case, right? As you go about evaluating and using AI, what is a wow case, and uh, does it make you feel insecure as a radiologist ever?
Oh, I don't, it doesn't make me feel insecure. At first, I'd like to say thanks for having me. I always enjoy our talks, and to have a chance to talk in front of a bunch of people and expand the conversation is a great opportunity. So thank you for that. So yeah, wow case. So what we call a wow case is something where the radiology, the AI catches something that the radiologist says, wow, I would have missed that. That's the context. And it's the kind of case that makes you realize that, hey, this stuff actually works. There's a really subtle subdural hematoma, for example, that might be very difficult to see, but AI picks it up, says, hey, you need to look here, figure out what's going on. And radiologists, and this has happened to me, right? Go back and look like, wow, okay, you're right. There is something there. In difficult cases, especially like complex CTA of the head, where there's a little tiny aneurysm, and you're focused on, hey, is this patient having an acute stroke or not? So you're really focused on something else, and you're looking for other findings. You're looking for something else, and there's this subtle, unexpected thing that the AI system picks up, and you're like, wow, thanks. So no one's perfect, and we just have to accept that. And by using the AI to help us read the study, kind of help us find things or do things that otherwise may have been more difficult without it, then we're better together.
So interesting, Kent. You used a very interesting word. You said thanks, right? As an expression to the AI. Do you think it actually that emotional trigger, like it brings about that emotional trigger in terms of like almost feeling gratitude that, thank God I have this system with me, else something bad would have happened. Like, does that happen frequently? Because honestly, it's the first time I'm thinking about things in that way.
Yeah, it happens often enough. And to put it in a little bit different context, but the same thing. Let's say I'm reading a cervical spine study for trauma, and I don't see anything. 10 minutes
Hmm.
later, one of my colleagues calls me up, says, "Hey, Kent, you need to look at that C spine again because I was reading the head CT and I saw this thing that looks like a fracture." And you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
thanks." And you go
Yeah.
back and read it and do an addendum, and so it's that sort of thing. It's like, you don't want to miss things. You want to be the best radiologist you can, the best physician you can, and provide the best care you
Mm.
can.
Yeah.
But there are times when things are going to slip by, and
Mm.
so having another layer in there, to use the old quality analogy, another layer of Swiss cheese to keep things from falling through the cracks is a good thing, and worthy of being thankful for.
Nice, interesting. No, I am going to certainly use that, next time I'm ever speaking to anyone about this. So Kent, tell us about your interest in AI. Like, how did that come about? What's that journey been? Have you always been an informatics person, and is it just a natural extension of that? How does Dr. Kent Hutson get into AI?
Yeah, so my college degree, my original degree was computer science. My first class in artificial intelligence was in 1985. And then I went to medical school after college, and then did a medical informatics fellowship. So I've always ridden both horses, both on the clinical side, especially in radiology, and on the computer science side. So that's I enjoy doing both, and so I do both.
Nice. So it's always been the case. And how was the transition from academia to private practice? Like, how does informatics change when you're in academic institutes versus, the world's largest private practice?
Yeah, so that was probably the most chaotic and anxiety-producing time of my life when I made that change, because I went from being in the hospital, working in the hospital full time, um, and solving the administrative problems that happened there. And then our youngest child went off to college, so that we became empty nesters. And at that point, it's like, okay, dropping the administrative stuff, let's do something different. And so I started doing teleradiology, and
Hmm.
we sold the farm, moved to Colorado, and after that move, Rad Partners came to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in coming to work for us?" And I said, "Well, yeah, but I don't want to come work for you if it's just, if I'm just going to be sitting there reading studies. I want to do something." And they said, "Well, we'll give you the opportunity to do stuff." And so since I joined RP, I've worked in a number of the information technology groups, worked with them, and then over the past couple of years, worked with the AI group. And it's been a joy. It's great fun. It gives me the opportunity to do something that in the typical radiology practice you just can't do, because, like you were saying earlier, we're so big that we have the resources to do stuff that otherwise you wouldn't be able to do. So,
Nice. So, but still, just double clicking on that, Kent, informatics and AI, the role it plays for the chair of an academic institute versus informatics and AI, the role it plays uh, for, say, a leader at a private practice. How are they different?
well, when you look at some of the benefits of AI, it's really the same. It really comes down to the same thing. Uh, quality and efficiency improvements. Let's look at the efficiency part of it. And AI, when we don't want to get trapped in that thinking of radiology AI as just diagnostic, right? There are other areas, non-interpretive areas, where AI can make a huge impact. Some of the recent advances in generative AI applied to radiology, something that we built in-house where it looks at our reports and gives us best practice recommendations. Let's say there's a 7 mm lung nodule and I call that in my report. The system is looking at my report and says, 7 mm lung nodule, this is what you should tell them to do. Get a follow-up, get a PET CT, get a biopsy, whatever that might be. So those systems improve the quality and efficiency. And as whether you're a department chair or a private practice president, you're still looking to find things that can make your practice work better. And it's tough to say. Quality sounds great, and that's what we want to do, but it's difficult to sell quality. You can sell efficiency. You can sell efficiency improvements. You can sell, hey, we'll be able to do X number more scans because we're using this AI system to speed things up, to make things more efficient. So it's really not that different. There's some, a little bit kind of different approach to things when you have residents working for you, because the residents kind of do a lot of the stuff that we're actually asking AI systems to do for us in private practice. So a lot of the preparing studies for us, making sure the studies are complete, making sure that the right templates is used, and things like that. A resident does that for you in academics, which was great. But then you turn around in private practice and you're doing all that non-interpretive stuff yourself. So you really want to try to use an AI subsystem to do that for you as much as possible, so that the radiologist can concentrate on the interpretive part of it and just doing what they've been trained to do, doing kind of practicing to their level.
So that means, Kent, that it's always going to be like a combination of what we call administrative AI and clinical AI working hand in hand, that are going to kind of lead to that exponential kicker. Because, like, at least at CARPL, the dream that we have is to make radiologists 10x more productive using all of the world's AI running seamlessly in conjunction with one another. We're a little bit like 9x's away from it today, but that's at least the hypothesis. So as you think about the future of radiology with AI, and then we also have somebody who's curious about what audio system you're using. But in the questions, but as we think about as you think about the future of AI, do you also see a similar pathway? Like, we literally call it the pathology analogy, like, what's happened to the world of lab medicine and blood testing, where you've got like everything has become deterministic over time. You put in blood, you get out a number, and somebody auto signs out. Do you see radiology hitting that threshold ever, say for some subsystems within radiology, or not really?
I think for very simplistic use cases, perhaps. And based on our experience using the tools that we have available now, there's still a long way to go, really long way to go. You use it to help you go a little bit faster and to catch things that you might have missed to improve your quality. But bottom line is, it can screw up, and it can screw up spectacularly, and you have to be alert for that. So it goes back to AI as a tool. It's a tool, and you need to learn how to use that tool and take advantage of the strengths of that tool and be aware of the weaknesses so that you don't fall into a trap and start making mistakes. And it's going to be a long time, I
So
think,
for the
before we get to the
radiologists,
point that it's autonomous like that.
so Kent, for the radiologists on the call, and also for those who are building solutions for radiologists on the call, like, what are some of the things they can do? And I'm going totally off script, I'm sorry about that. But what are some of the things they can do uh, to inculcate trust in their products? right? Like, what would it take, like, for you uh, to know that, this AI solution, I can trust it, right? And I
Mhm.
can actually use it on my patients. Like, is it performance metrics? Is it the user interface? Is it the team? What is it that drives trust for you?
I think those things are important, and review of cases like wow cases, that's important. Review of cases where it's failed, that's important, so that and we're talking about really a case conference there, case conferences, so the radiologist becomes more comfortable with what the tool can do and what it can't do. But perhaps the most important, I think, is that the giving the radiologist the ability to uh, say when it's wrong, and if the AI fails, it gives them an idea of why it failed. Let's say if it failed a process, what I mean there, not that it got the wrong answer, but there are times when the AI doesn't seem to be working, and we found that, and we didn't, and honestly, at first we didn't think this was important, but and so we didn't give feedback to the radiologist if the AI didn't run, if the AI didn't process for some reason, we just okay, it just didn't process. But in fact, if it doesn't process, we want to know why, because we're trying to gain trust in this thing, in this tool. And if you don't have a way to provide feedback on the failure mode, or when it fails, then you can't gain a trust in how it works. If I know that, oh, this is a 14-year-old patient, this tool doesn't work at all on 14-year-olds, on pediatrics, then I'm okay with that. I can, move on and I don't have to worry about it. But if there's uncertainty there about whether it should have run, or if there's something wrong with the study that caused the AI not to run, or if there's something wrong with our IT systems that cause the study not to be sent to the right place, or any number of things, I can't really gain trust in how it works.
Interesting. So, which is obvious, like, essentially transparency would lead to trust, right? Even if you've not run on a case, uh, you know, say that you've, not run on the case, stuff like
And
that.
why?
That's
And why?
pretty,
Yeah.
yeah, and why is important, right? Yeah, you can't get away with saying that, hey, I didn't run on this case. That's pretty cool. Let's take a couple of the questions that are there, Kent. So the first one is, after doing a bachelor's in computer sciences, what motivated you to do an MD?
So I actually started out in the pre-med program, and they had at my college they had an accelerated 3-year pre-med program where if you went to medical school, then they gave you I think it was a zoology degree after you started med school, or after your first year of med school. And so I did during my first semester, I took a class, the introductory class in computer science, which at that time was Fortran, running on a mainframe computer. And I loved it. And the skills that it takes to write a program and to build something like that, the logic and all that, I just thoroughly enjoy. And but I also wanted to go into medicine. And so halfway through my first semester, I switched from pre-med to computer science, and then got a minor in all of the pre-med prerequisites, so biology, chemistry, and all that. And I tell you, radiology is a perfect fit for somebody who's a computer science slash electronics geek, because the toys you get to play with are just fabulous.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So that means you did like your entire undergrad in like 6 years as opposed to eight. Is that what it means,
Uh,
or like 7 years?
so yeah, undergrad 4 years, and then med school 4 years. So, but in the sorry,
So
so 4 years for the bachelor's, which is the typical time, and
MD
then four
while
years
you
for
were in
medical
your
school.
undergrad.
Was that?
No, I'm saying you decided to become a doctor while you were doing your undergrad.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I had a
Yeah, that's right.
uh, so just a little anecdote there.
Yeah.
I had a computer science professor who, in my sophomore year, I believe it was, who basically gave everybody C's, and I said, I need to get a better grade than that. He said, why? I said, well, because I'm trying to get into medical school. He's like, why do you want to do that? And so we had a long conversation, and got the story short. My senior year, he was my senior research project advisor, and so it turned out great.
Nice. Awesome. Awesome. Next up, we have a question from Bhanushree from our team. Hi, Dr. Hudson. How does RP integrate AI applications clinically that do not provide validation opportunities? Oh, does the organization perform validations manually in such scenarios? So
Yes.
essentially,
Well, it
if
was,
an
yeah, I would say not manually, but we semi-automated. So we do have data scientists and our own kind of ad hoc system where we do pre-deployment validation. So we test the data before we even go live, and then while we're live, we do continuous validation, where we run natural language processing on every report that we produce, and we compare that against the AI results. And then if there are discrepancies, we adjudicate that. Very much like a traditional peer review system. It's just that you think about the AI system as a peer and then
Hmm.
process it according to that. So that's
So,
I think a better way to think about that kind of a system.
so Kent, have you observed also that monitoring of AI has become easier with this evolution in large language models? Like NLP has generally become infinitely easier to build.
Uh, it has made it easier, has not made it foolproof.
Hmm.
So you still have to, if the NLP flags something, then you still have to have a human look at the study and decide, okay, which one is correct. Is the radiologist
Hmm.
was the radiologist correct, or did the was the AI correct, and did the NLP make a mistake? Because now you're introducing another system that has an error rate, and so that needs oversight also, in addition to the machine vision AI that you may be using. But definitely makes it easier to iterate and create systems when you have a large language model to back you up, because they do tend to have a better accuracy than what we've done in the past.
But that's interesting. They do have more unexplainable failures as well, right? So
Right.
there is that catch 22. The next is a question from Goranch. He's the newest recruit at CARPL, another young physician we managed to con into giving up their lives for AI. So with AI handling an increasing number of diagnostic tasks, how do you see the role of the radiologist changing?
The so let's I'm going to start back with a little bit of history. So
Hmm.
when PACS first came out, we're in the 90s now, late 90s, right? And the hospital system started to deploy PACS. There was a lot of resistance to it. The radiologists didn't like to. They were having to change how they did their work. They had to change their workflow. But once they started using it, started using PACS viewers, started reading off of computers instead of reading off of film, then they started to realize that, wow, there are some really great advantage to using these new tools. And at that time, one of my colleagues came up to me and said, because I was in charge of doing this deployment, came up to me and said, "Wow, Kent, this is great. This has extended my professional life probably at least 10 years. It's wonderful." So we had tools that made us work better. And now, page forward to today, we have these AI systems that are tools that we're learning how to use and can make us work better. So I think we're in that kind of early stage, really, similar to where we were back when we were first deploying PACS. Now we're first deploying AI, and radiologists are learning how to take advantage. There's resistance, some that don't want to mess with it, that feel threatened by it. But the fact is, it's a tool, and it's something that, as we practice and learn how to use it, will become more and more integrated into what we do, and it will just become a part of our practice.
Amazing. So the radiologist of the future is going to be much more productive and much better uh, from a clinical standpoint as well. So
Yeah,
that's
and like we did with PACS, it'll enable us to handle larger volumes of data more efficiently
yeah,
and with more confidence.
and extend the lifespan of radiologists.
Exactly, exactly.
Nice. So the next is from an anonymous attendee. Like, if AI were not currently being used in clinical settings for RP, which specific use case would you prioritize to address the key pain points RP faces? Oh, interesting. So imagine there's no AI at RP. What would be the first thing you'd like to address with AI?
So this may surprise you, but the first thing that I would, in a world where we didn't have it, the first thing that I would look at is not addressing the diagnostic part, the
Hmm.
image diagnostic part, but actually the non-interpretive part of producing a report. Just think about all of the steps that a radiologist has to go to produce a report. You have to find the old studies. You have to make sure those old studies are relevant. You have to pull them up. You have to go to the images that show the relevant pathology on the old studies. You have to translate the history that's coming from the EMR, which sometimes is
Yeah.
gobbledygook. There are a lot of things that have to be done before you even really start to read the study. And that stuff is just fluff. It's stuff that doesn't help us. It's something we have to do, but it doesn't help us make a diagnosis. It's looking at the images, identifying what's there, and making a decision about what the pathology is. That's what's important. So I would make the process of reading more efficient, much like
Mm,
introduction of PACS made reading more efficient, but make that process of reading more efficient before I even start going down the road of using machine vision to make diagnoses.
interesting. Nice. So the if RP had no AI, the first AI you would like to use would be just getting the non-clinical stuff done much faster and better. Yeah.
And let me give you an idea, an example of that. So the first AI that we deployed was not image AI, not image based. It's a best practice recommendation system
Mm,
that looks at our reports and identifies when we need to make a recommendation. So it's a way of improving our efficiency, because then I don't have to remember all those tables of what do I do with a thyroid nodule that's this large, or a pulmonary nodule that's this large. What's the best practice to recommend to the ordering physician. I don't have to remember all that stuff or look it up while I'm in the middle of the study. It presents it to me, and all I have to do is click the thumbs up, and it pops it into the report, and I go on. So
nice.
improves my quality, improves my efficiency, right there.
Nice, nice, awesome. We've got about a minute left, Kent, so I'm going to take the probably the most controversial question that has been asked. It's as reimbursement becomes a key issue. So reimbursement becomes a key issue when you're incorporating new technologies in current practice. How fast is the current landscape for now AI for new AI is evolving to get these reimbursements easily? So yeah, do you see a lot of AI get reimbursed soon, or are you in the camp that says that there should be no reimbursement for AI?
I think there should be some kind of reimbursement. The reality of it is that that's it's going to something else is going to have to offset it. Right? It's going to be net zero, at budget zero. Um, the way that we look at it is that whoever is benefiting from the AI should be paying for it. So let's look at efficiency improvements, things that improve our efficiency. That's something that we should be paying for. The radiologist should be paying for.
Yeah.
If it makes us faster, if it makes our work better, then we should pay for that. If it's something that's providing additional service to the hospital, for example, the incidental screening programs, that's diverting patients or directing patients into healthcare programs, in the hospital. So that hospital should be paying for that added benefit. So yeah, it's going to be we're in a transition period right now. Eventually down the road, I think it's just going to be part of doing business, part of the cost of doing business. But right now we're in transition.
No, great. We do have a couple of more questions. So, folks, we do post these questions online, and then we'll get Kent to answer them offline because we try to stick to the 30-minute mark, respecting everybody's time. So we will certainly get to all your questions. But thank you so much, Kent. This was incredible. And it's always a pleasure to speak to you and learn from you. Thank you for everything. And I Hope to see you soon.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I enjoyed it. It
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah.